Let's move on to today's lecture contents. Today's speaker is Mr. Benjamin Won, who is the representative director and CEO of the company called Tricolage. Topic is tips for starting a business in Tokyo. Okay, so Benjamin-san, よろしくお願いします. I'm going to share the screen.
Great. Thank you very much, Hanai-san, and thank you, Emily-san, earlier. Great. Thanks very much for this opportunity to share for me to share some experience with fellow foreign entrepreneur in Japan. I started a company a year ago, and I've got some little bit of experience going through some challenges, and I think I have worked out some solutions during this to settle these challenges. So I hope I can spend the next 30 minutes or so to share with you some of these tips before you start your business in Japan. Great, thank you. So, so the seminar today is about tips for starting a business in Tokyo. I want to declare, first of all, I'm not an expert myself. I am just like you. So I'm a foreign entrepreneur, started a business recently, but because I've gone through the initial phase, and I thought I hope I can take this opportunity to share with you some of the tips. Great, thank you. So today's agenda, basically just 6 points, a little bit of self-introduction about myself and my company, why sustainability now, which is what my company focus on, some challenges and solutions, which I have experienced myself in the last 12 months. More importantly, how TOSBEC can help during this process. And you will find it very useful, and I hope I can share some experience with you, some final thoughts, and some contact details. Great. So may I start with a little bit of introduction about myself. So I'm an Australian. I grew up in Sydney, and I've been in Japan so far for 4 years. I came from a different industry. I was spending a long time in a different industry before. But 3 years ago, I decided that I like a new challenge while I'm in a new country, and to basically do something that I haven't done before, and something that to challenge myself and to give my life a new meaning in a way. So that's a little bit of background about myself. My company is called Tricolage. I co-founded with my co-founder, Fumiko Yoshida-san, a Japanese lady, and our company basically is a sustainable corporate travel and event consultancy. So what we do is we provide sustainable travel solution, as well as event solution to inbound corporates when they come to Japan. So from business trips or incentive tours or vacations or exhibition, we help our clients to organize the trips and events in Japan, and we will reduce, report, and offset their carbon emission to allow them to focus on engaging their audience and also pursuing their purpose, the reason why they're in Japan. So we will take care of the things that they need to worry about, let them focus on why they're here to achieve their business purpose. So the next point here is about our vision. You may have seen in the seminar's introduction about, I like to cover about company vision, which I feel is very important. So first, which I'll cover a little bit later in the presentation. At this point, I'd like to share with you our company vision. So our vision is a world where happiness is experienced through sustainable journeys. We help our clients to travel sustainably and to host the event sustainably in Japan. And we strongly believe that through this, they will feel happiness inside, because they will feel that they have achieved something, they're here to fulfill the purpose, and they will feel that they have made a positive impact to the world. This is our vision. This is what we hope through our work, we can make the world this way. So as I mentioned, it's very important to create a company vision. This really helps us along the way through this journey, and I'll cover this in a little bit more details later on in the presentation. So then, as you know by now, we are in the travel business. You'll be thinking, lots of you will be thinking, why we started a travel business in the middle of COVID? You must be crazy. Well, first of all, I personally am a little bit of a contrarian. So I don't really like following the crowd. Following the crowd to me is not something that I prefer to do. It's important to feel that you're willing to try things that others are not ready to do. Well, what we do as a contrarian entrepreneur are that we try to create things that other people haven't probably thought of, or they believe that there's no chance to do that. Well, the important thing is, to us, is that when you are trying to create a new category or trend that people are not thinking, to me, this is the best chance of having a huge success. Of course, you can succeed as well, following the crowd and trying to do things that is a proven concept. But at the same time, you've got more competition. And also the chance of having a huge success is probably smaller. What we try to do is we recognize a trend, we recognize a business opportunity, even though this sounds like a bad time for the travel business. Well, we strongly believe that what we are working on, there will be huge demand going forward. So being contrarian, sometimes there is this advantage as well. And secondly, which is more importantly for myself personally, is that after spending a long time in another industry for a long time, I feel that it is really important to follow your heart. Of course, we all know what we are good at, what we can do to make a living. But to me, it's more important to tell yourself, follow your heart and follow your emotion, what you're interested in, what you would like to do. That really helps you to line up your energy and your focus, starting a new business. I personally was not a businessman before. So I was as we say in Japan, kaishin before for a long time. This is my first venture. I feel that if I was not choosing something with my co-founder to follow our heart, we probably wouldn't be here today. It is something that we strongly believe, and it's something that we really focus our energy on because we are particularly interested, we are very interested in this. Well, once you change your perspective and give yourself a really positive core belief, which is your interest and your passion, logical decision will come. Your energy will come. It just follows. Every day you will feel that, look, I want to make this work. This is how I feel every day. Before, when I was a kaishin, I was feeling more about what do I have to do today just to get to 5 o'clock. Now I don't think that way anymore. It's more about once you're doing something you're interested in and passionate about, it will just happen. You would just drive yourself to make it work. This is where I am. So to me, it's important that even though people say that, well, you must be crazy thinking about starting a travel business in COVID. Well, following your heart is very important. And it's also good to be a contrarian. Thank you. So then, so you have heard by now that sustainability is what we focus on, our company. So I just want to take a little bit of opportunity to explain what little bit more about sustainability. So I would say that there are two angles to look at it. One from a more personal angle, and one from a corporate angle. From a personal angle, I think we will all agree that over the last 12 months, in fact, last few years, particularly the last 12 months, people are increasingly looking at trying to make a difference themselves, looking to cut down on single-use plastic, reducing carbon footprint, or expecting companies to behave more sustainably. We are becoming more and more looking at striving for equality, wanting to contribute ourselves, and also we are happy to pay more for sustainable or eco-friendly products. So you'll be thinking why that is the case, why we are suddenly become more sustainable over the last 5 years and particularly the last 12 to 18 months. Well, to me, there are a number of angles. Climate change, increased awareness of our impact, as well as our values have actually changed since COVID. So climate change, I don't think this is well publicized. I think everybody follows. The Paris Agreement 2015, as well as all the government's action and companies' action. But one thing that I learned more recently myself, is that the UN has published and explained that while we are aiming for a 2 degrees or 1.5 degrees increase in temperature from climate change, this is the goal that we try to achieve. In fact, we are already at 1.1 degree increase since the industrial age. What that means is, in order to achieve the goal, we only have 7 years to act. We must reduce greenhouse gas emission by 5 to 7% every year from now. Basically, the same impact we had made last year because of COVID. Time is running out. So I think we personally all feel that there's something that we try to do, whatever we can do, however small. Climate change is one of the well-publicized topics that we all follow. Number 2 is increase awareness of our impact. Well, in this information age, everything that we do, we get the information back, the results back of what happened, how we make an impact, what kind of negative impact we make, and perhaps positive impact as well. In this information age with more data, more awareness, particularly travel industry, I think we become more aware and we are becoming more responsible for sustainability. And as you may know, tourism actually accounts for 8% of carbon emission around the world. And when we travel, how can we do better? This is what my company is trying to do. Lastly, our value have actually changed since COVID. Well, we have become there are more opportunities for us to come into contact with social issues. Our values are changing from individuals to more society, the way we look at things since COVID. Well, more from a travel industry's angle, a very recent Booking.com survey conducted last month in June 2021 shows that 82% of global travelers think sustainable travel is vital. 82%. It interviewed about 30,000 people, Booking.com, across all countries. Particularly, 61% saying that the pandemic has made them wanting to travel more sustainably in the future. 61% is a very significant number. So how can we make our travel more sustainable? That is the key. Particularly, sustainable travel is more than just environmental concern. It's also about society and economic. This is what our company is trying to help our clients to do. Thank you. So in terms of the corporate angle in a why sustainability now, sorry, Hannes-san, just go back one page. Yes. So in terms of from the more corporate angle, so I highlighted 3 particular points which is becoming more and more important. Why companies are becoming more sustainable. Customer expectation, ESG investing, as well as regulation. A recent survey says that 79% of consumers are changing their purchase preference based on social responsibility, inclusiveness, and environmental impact. It is absolutely critical for companies and brands to take action and demonstrate their commitment because this is what their customers are expecting. ESG investing. Well, I mean, I think we probably have all heard in probably the last 12 months about ESG investing. So ESG investing, ESG capital inflow going to ESG investing in the first half of this year has already reached $63 billion, which is the entire amount from 2020, which is almost the entire amount of 2020 of 80 billion. So you think that, well, okay, that's great, I mean, that's double. Well, actually, the 2020 figures was 9 times of the 2018 numbers of 9 billion. When investors of companies are looking to invest only in companies who follow strict ESG principles, companies must act because this is where the funding comes from. This is a huge driver for companies to become more sustainable. Number 3, regulation. There's increasing regulatory requirements and pressure for companies to disclose ESG information, which is non-financial information. Recently, EU has also proposed a corporate sustainability reporting directive, CSRD, to basically catch more companies to make them responsible for reporting non-financial information. So you can see that from these three, it is becoming absolutely imperative for business to make themselves more sustainable across their business operation. And corporate travel is one part of it. In fact, for some companies, the carbon emission from corporate travel accounts for up to 80% of the carbon footprint. If they can make their business travel more sustainable, they already make a huge impact. This is what our company is trying to help our clients to do. So overall, I just want to say that we all have a role to play. Each of us matters. Each of us have a role to play. We just do our best, the best we can as an individual, and also we can influence the company who we work for to make a sustainable choice, and we can all make a difference. Thank you, Vanessa. Right, so back to some of the, so now I'd like to cover a little bit about the challenges and the solutions, which you will be more interested in coming to this segment today. Well, as a foreigner starting a company in Japan, frankly speaking, my Japanese is not very good. I can just manage a little bit of the Jijo Kaiwa, but that's about it. So there are a number of things, there are a number of points I feel that I'd like to share with you. These are the particular challenge that I experienced myself and how some of these potential tips can help you. So number one, of course, is obvious, Nihongo. Well, most foreign entrepreneurs probably will think that the lack of Japanese skill is probably the most daunting task. Well, of course, there are many ways to get help. You can get paid professional help. There are many translation services, lawyers, accountants, specialists, company setup agency who speaks English. They can help you, of course. However, all these costs, they quickly add up. To be honest, in my experience, I found that most information you can find online in English. That's what I did. You can find just about most information online in English first. Now, then it comes to the TOSBEC situation. When you establish a company, which I'll cover next, all the procedures, one particular helpful department organized by the Metropolitan Department, as Hanai-san said, is TOSBEC, today's host. Every step of the way, there is English-speaking staff from all the relevant government departments. They are there to help. I'm going to cover a little bit more specifically what they can help later on in the presentation. Now, the second point you'll be stressing out is all the filing procedures. There are a lot of administrative procedures and applications to be completed and submitted. Let me tell you, there are quite a lot. Again, TOSBEC was the place where we went for help, and they have been extremely helpful. And I'll cover that a little bit more in more details later on as well. And then next, you'll be thinking, okay, well, I have a great idea. So where do I start? Business plan is where you start. This is absolutely crucial. Doing a business plan really forces you to think thoroughly and carefully about how you can translate your business idea, your great idea, into an actual business. Having a great idea is one thing, making it into a business is another thing. Doing a business plan, looking at your business model is extremely important. You'll be thinking, well, I know my product, but have you thought about who your customers are? What are their problems? How you can solve their problems? Very importantly, what is your unique value proposition? Why customers should come to you, but not go to your competitors? How about your marketing channel? How do you make money? Your cost? What are the risks that you're facing and how you mitigate them? So these are all important factors that you need to consider, and it's good to consider during your business planning stage. Well, the business plan or the business model is a living document. So you don't just finish it a year ago and then you feel that, okay, you've done it. In fact, it changes all the time. Every circumstances change, both from your personal or the professional angle. Go back to your business plan and go back to your business model to look at, well, do I have to change the problem we're trying to solve? Is there a new way to do our marketing channel? Has our customer changed? If our customer has changed, that means the problem they're facing has changed. These are all important factors to consider, absolutely. Well, again, TOSBEC was the place that we also went for help. And this is also another area that I'm going to cover a little bit more later on. Next is company vision. So as I mentioned earlier, company vision is very important before you set out to establish a company. It doesn't look very important at first glance, maybe, but it is. It really provides you with a sense of purpose and direction for the business. It actually inspires you to go forward. It helps you to align your daily work to your long-term vision. What you do every day, is it helping you to achieve your vision? This is what we do. This is what we think about it all the time. Whenever you're in doubt what you're trying to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, go back to your vision statement. Ask yourself, are we still doing that? If we are not still doing that, does it mean our vision statement need to change? Or we have deviated from our plan? This is absolutely crucial. Something that I had to learn myself as well a year ago, how to set a vision statement, but it's very important. So what is it? So it's very important, but what is it? Basically, this is about the what. It's what you want the future world to look like, given the service you provide, your company provides. What is the future world? What is your dream world look like in the future from what you can help them to do, from what you provide? So to give you some examples, I was inspired by some of the vision statements from some of the companies. Microsoft, at the founding stage, their vision statement is a company on every desk and in every home. It's very clear, short and concise, and you can tell what they're trying to achieve from day one. And TED, as you know, the nonprofit video service who shows all great ideas in short videos, their vision statement is very simple: spread ideas. Their vision is to make sure that they can spread ideas to as many people as they can, to educate people. And the one that I like the most is this one. It's the Alzheimer's Association. Their vision statement is a world without Alzheimer's disease. How powerful is that? So if once you set what your mission is, you will just follow. You find that everything that you're doing follows the vision. This is very important. Just to repeat one more time, what is our company's vision? A world where happiness is experienced through sustainable journeys. Well, we believe happiness is from the inside. It comes from a sense of experience through your travel, achievement, and also how you feel that you can bring a positive impact through your journey. This is what we envision our world to be. Travel is no longer going somewhere to take a picture and to buy some shopping. It can be, don't get me wrong, but does it really bring you happiness? Can there be a higher level of happiness? This is what our company is set out to do. So next, perhaps the last thing that I'd like to highlight is about a founders and shareholder agreement. So this may not come obvious to most startup companies. I find it extremely useful. Well, first of all, of course, this will apply to companies who have got more than one founder or shareholder. Otherwise, it doesn't apply, of course. But this is very important to set out these rules from day one. Well, this is an extremely challenging time for small business founders, particularly after COVID. It is very important to make sure that you and your fellow founders and shareholders to be on the same page as far as commitment and responsibilities are concerned. So once you set this out, everybody knows what they are expected to do over the next years and weeks and months and years. It clearly lay out the governance structure of the company and the corporate governance, of course. So you'll be asking, well, okay, so what is it? What are the key provisions inside that is important? To me, there are a lot of provisions you can do. To me, personally, the most important provisions are roles and responsibilities, who is doing what, who covers which area. Make that clear upfront. A lot of founding members or founders are friends, perhaps, or people they know very well. But it's important from a company's angle to be very clear what you do and what I'm going to do. So it's very clear, there's no argument later on. Decision making, who makes what kind of decision? But this is particularly important for companies who have probably equal shareholding, particularly important. If everybody is 50-50, then, well, if one likes to do A and another one likes to do B, who makes the decision? Make that clear upfront. Decide that, discuss and decide that upfront when the company is being found. Some other provisions you can include is also like IP and non-compete. At the end of the day, the IP belongs to the company. So no one particular founder should take this away in case of when there's an exit. Of course, you just discuss how you would like this and just have it written and signed by everybody. And also exit. If founders like to leave, if the company is being shut down for any reason, how this is going to work. It is crucial to do this while the company is not at that situation. So once, if we ever get into that situation, it is very clear what the next steps are. Then there's all logical process to follow. So these are some of the challenges and solutions I faced during the startup phase. Now I just want to quickly cover how about running the company. So running the company, there are lots of business advice that you like to get along the way. There's always questions that you want to ask somebody. What I found is, again, TOSBEC and also other relevant body, government bodies in Japan, such as Startup Station or Startup Hub, they have been very helpful in giving us advice. But one thing I like to say is that, at least in my own experience, it is absolutely important to research before you go. Know what you like to ask first. Do your research, know as much as you can first before you go there. All the consultants are very helpful, but at the same time, they don't know what you are thinking. Whatever information you can provide, the more information, the better. You do your own research first, know before you go. Ask the right question, and you will get the right answer for yourself. You get a helpful answer. Well, the next thing that I say all the time that people know me, everything I do, I call it baby steps. Well, whatever your vision and your goals are, I'm sure they are very lofty and they're very big. We all try to save the world here. This is a very big goal. So what do? Break down the big goals down to bite-sized chunks. Don't think that you need to achieve everything tomorrow. You can't do that. Just do it bite-sized. Break it down into smaller parts. Write down the long-term goal. Break it down into quarterly, monthly, daily. After that, every day you achieve certain things. You have a sense of achievement. It gives you more motivation to go forward. Stay agile. So never stop learning. This is important. And this particularly is important for contrarian entrepreneurs. Without learning, you never know what you don't know. Unless you just keep attending seminars like the one organized by TOSBEC and also ANZCCJ, you will always learn something. I think people who knows me know that I attend quite a lot of seminars, particularly TOSBEC. And every time I learn something, never stop learning. There are a lot of areas, a lot of places you can attend seminars, ANZCCJ, TOSBEC, Venture Cafe. There are lots of LinkedIn seminars available on LinkedIn as well. I attend quite a lot of them. Every time I learn something, and you can do that too. Accounting. Well, you may think that, well, it's okay, I'll organize my receipt a year later when I do my financials. Trust me, don't do that. I have an accounting background myself. We started collecting receipts and make sure I document them from day one. That is important because you don't want to be stressing out 1 year later when you need to do your filings. Start early, start documenting, start collecting your receipts, put them together. Make sure that you know what they are a year later. Write down whatever notes you need to write down. Start your accounting early. And probably the most important point is think positive and stay positive. Well, there are always challenges. There's always two ways to look at something, negative or positive. Stay positive. Think about the positive things that you're achieving and stay positive. Just keep going. Don't give up. Great, thank you. Okay, so this slide is a little bit more about more specifically how TOSBEC can help. I covered a little bit earlier, but this is a little bit more specific. In terms of setting up the companies, TOSBEC is a one-stop shop. As Hanaya-san's presentation earlier, you will have seen that there are many departments in Japan, in Tokyo, that you need to submit some application or registration. Many departments. Everything is inside one office in TOSBEC in Roppongi. We submitted everything there. It was quite amazing, to be very honest. It's a one-stop shop. So under one roof, you can get your advice, as well as all the registration done. There are a lot of administrative procedures you need to do. This is just some examples. As you know, this is some registration application, articles of incorporation, founders consent form, tax, social security, pension, lots and lots of forms to be very honest. It's quite daunting. However, under one roof in TOSBEC, you can get everything done step by step. What I found most useful from TOSBEC is that every administrative procedure necessary is under one roof, as I said. And every step of the way, there's English-speaking staff that can help you, consultants and others. And one thing I particularly like is very highly structured. So it will tell you step 1 is doing this. You cannot go to step 2 without you finish step 1 first. So you know that once you have done step 1, they let you go to step 2. That means that you've completed step 1. I find it actually quite helpful, even though at the beginning it could be quite frustrating. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it got the result. So in terms of setting up the company, I found that TOSBEC was extremely useful, helpful. How about the running the company? Well, we mentioned about business advice. There are a lot of things that you need to know along the way. One thing about the SME consultants in TOSBEC is that they all come from different industry before. Some of them will come from retail, some of them will come from industrial or machinery, etc. They all come from very strong background. Not only they can speak English, you can find the English-speaking consultants. Try to find the consultants that are probably a little bit more relevant to your industry. Not only they can share the administrative procedures, how they can help you, they can probably share some experience about the industry that you're interested in as well. Look for those consultants that came from your industry. And of course, seminars and events. Something like what TOSBEC is organizing, something like what we're doing today, as well as what ANZCCJs are doing. Attend more seminars. So I just keep attending. I mean, like I said, you never know what you can learn. You always learn something. Great, thank you. So I think it's coming towards the end of the presentation. If I leave you with only 3 final thoughts. You're not doing this alone. Starting a company is a daunting task, particularly if language is not on our side. And I'm one of those myself. I want you to know that help and support is available through different channels, particularly TOSBEC. You're not doing it alone. You just need to find the right place. TOSBEC is one of those. Create your company vision. Do that on day 1. Set the vision first. This will really help you to guide what you're looking to do over the next months and years. And last point is it's not about building a product, or not, at least not from the beginning. It is about identifying a problem who your customers are facing and solving that problem. And of course, solving that problem in a way is your product. Of course it is. But it's not making your product first. Does anybody want your product? Does your customer want your product? You need to know. So it's about identifying the problems from the customer first, your target customers, and then find a way to solve the problem that they want to solve. And in the process, you're building a product. So think the other way around. That's important. Thank you. So And next is a little bit of contact details about our company and ourselves. We are a Kabushiki Kaisha. We started a year ago in July. In fact, we just passed 1 year. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity today from TOSBEC and also ANZCCJ for giving me the opportunity to share some experience to our fellow foreign entrepreneurs, particularly Aussies like myself. And that's all I have. And thank you for listening.
Right. Thank you very much, Benjamin-san. Thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Sure.
So from now on, we're moving on to the Q&A session. So please, Emily-san, I will hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Hanae-san, and thank you very much, Benjamin. That was a fantastic presentation. I think there were some great insights and some great takeaways from that from everyone. We've got about 15 minutes left, so we're going to shoot straight through to the Q&A. We've had a few come in ahead of time and a few I can see coming through on the chat box now, so we'll get through as many as we can. So to start off straight ahead, I know you maybe touched on a little bit of this already in your presentation, but one of the first questions that came through before the event was, what are the approval and permission, what kind of approval and permission is required to start a business in Tokyo?
I see. Great. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Emily. There are quite a lot of approvals and registration. I'm not going to lie to you. I can probably name half a dozen to 10 of them immediately. Having said that, to be very honest, me not being an expert myself, I will probably suggest to defer this question to TOSBEC. They will give you a full list of what are the registration requirements and also what they can help you. Utilize the consultation, particularly what Hanae-san was talking earlier. Make a consultation with the TOSBEC consultant at the end of the presentation, and they can give you a full list. There are quite a lot of things to do. I mean, I can go through each of them in detail, but to be very honest with you, I'm not an expert myself. I mean, so I'm an entrepreneur. I try to get rid of them as fast as I can, as you would expect. So let me defer that question to TOSBEC.
Thank you, Benjamin. That's very good advice. I think we're very lucky to have the TOSBEC team here available to give that kind of advice, because I think I would be in a similar position as a lot of paperwork that seems to be involved. So yeah, that's very good advice. Thank you. So the second question that we had was, do you think your vision can be changed after you start your business, just because startup businesses are difficult to predict due to the lack of resources and perhaps experts?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Absolutely. The vision is not something that it should not change. It should be something that is relevant to you at that point in time, where you see the future is. Of course, things can change. Of course it is. But I don't envisage this should be changing every month or every quarter. This is your long-term vision. This is how you try to help the world, or at least your company, where you see it in 3, 5, 10 years' time. So if you see your vision changing often, perhaps that's not the right vision in a way to start with. But to answer the question, can it change? Of course it can. In fact, I'll change slightly. Remember, particularly if you are starting a company with a co-founder like myself, the vision statement helps you to align your passion and your interests with your co-founders. Frankly speaking, so this is what you both believe. If one person now suddenly believes in something else, and you feel that the vision doesn't line up, well, then you need to consider whether this is the right partnership. Potentially. Don't get me wrong. I mean, of course, discuss with your co-founders, discuss with your shareholders, not shareholders, but your founders, to see whether are we pivoting a little bit differently? Are we looking to try to solve for different problems? That's fine. But I think my suggestion is it can be changed, but just think about it's a long-term vision. So if you find that it's changing a little bit more regularly than it should, it's probably not the right vision to start with.
Thank you, Benjamin. Yeah, that is a very good point. I like what you say there about making sure that everyone is across the same vision as well. That is the incredibly important aspect from the beginning. So the next question is a little bit related to this, talking about things that are difficult to predict, but do you think the current coronavirus health crisis is having or will have an impact on how businesses are set up in Japan? Do you think entrepreneurs are now expected to take the pandemic into account when developing their business plan?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the question. I think my first reaction is absolutely. Well, the fact that we are now talking online, doing a seminar online is already expected. Well, if you are not comfortable doing this online, then perhaps this is the time to learn. I was never comfortable doing this before, but what can you do? You got to learn it, right? So yes, it's expected. But I do want to say also that to me, like I said, it's good to think positive. There are also many positive aspects. Well, not positive in that sense, but there are also things that you can, in a way, take advantage because of the situation. Well, think about in Japan, as you may know, Japanese business, they like you to visit their office, to shake hands every time. Well, because of pandemic, now we all do Zoom. You still want to shake hands in the office, but at the same time, at least you can do some of this meeting on Zoom. It's quicker, faster. You can get some of this out of the way faster. So I think that that's a positive in a way. Second thing is also, they also expect and understand the difficulties small businesses are facing. In a way, I guess the very stringent requirements from the bigger companies, if they are your business partners, probably a little bit, they can be a little bit more understanding. So I think that's also helpful, I think, in a way. So to answer your question, are startups expected to probably behave or act differently from COVID? I think absolutely. But personally, I feel that a lot of these are positive, at least from the procedures point of view.
Thank you, Benjamin. So going on to the next question we have, how and where do you manage to open a corporate bank account in Japan? And do you have any advice on how someone can open an account quickly and painlessly?
I see, that is the million-dollar question, let me tell you. Yeah. Open a corporate bank account is a real challenge. We have gone through so much trouble doing this ourselves. I think if I may suggest, start with an easier corporate bank account first. Easier meaning not the big three, not the mega banks. Open one that is a little bit easier, a little bit to entrepreneur first. TOSBEC can also advise a number of banks that are not the mega banks, a little bit more understanding to start out. That's what we did. So we don't have a mega bank account. That's because it's just very hard to do. But once you start maybe like an internet banking, second, third tier bank first, do that first. And then over time, once you build up some track record, then go and apply the mega banks again. That would be my suggestion.
That's good advice, actually. I think maybe especially coming from an Australian background, the culture shock that could come through with the banking system in Japan is quite strong. So that's great advice. Thank you, Benjamin. So moving on to some of the questions that have come through the chat box. Thank you, Simon Morris, for sharing. This is perhaps related to our previous question, and maybe something that TOSBEC might be able to share as well. But what are the specific filing, legal, and banking procedures when setting up your own business?
Yeah, I guess on that point, I think like Emily was saying, yes, I think I try to not answer it, but try to defer the question to TOSBEC. I think they're in a much better position than myself. Simon, I strongly recommend you to set up a consultation with Hanaya-san here and TOSBEC as well to get the exact list, long list of filing and legal and banking procedure. But I don't want to scare you. I can tell you that because of English support, you can get all of them done. Well, that's what we did a year ago.
Thank you very much. And it's kind of coming from the Australian angle here, but how can an Australian business secure business in Japan? Do you have any particular advice coming from the Australian market?
To be very, very honest, I don't have any particular advice here at all. Having said that, one thing that I experienced through our entrepreneurship is that connection is extremely important. Being an Australian business or any business from any countries in the world, join the relevant society. ANZCCJ is one of them. So you can meet fellow Australian And so I joined a lot of different society as well. And so the important thing is, what I found in this journey is that talking to fellow Australian in situations like this, just talking sometimes, it solves half the problem. They have experienced something you haven't experienced before. They might have a solution. And sometimes you talk through your problem and your solution to others. Just the process of talking through, it clears up your mind to make yourself more clear how it can be done as well. So I guess my suggestion, no particular answer to this at all myself. My suggestion is join the relevant societies and organizations to network, to talk to fellow people in your shoes, or just a little bit ahead, or just a little bit behind. Teaching people, not teaching, but sharing experience is also a way to consolidate your own knowledge as well.
Great. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you very much for the plug there as well for ANZCCJ. But yes, for any one of you who are listening today, please do feel free to reach out to myself and my co-worker, Aki. We're always happy to set out a consultation. We may not be able to personally give you specific advice, but we're always able to connect you with other people within our network too. So moving along to the next question, we've got a few minutes left, so we'll try and get through as many as we can. Thank you, Benjamin.
Sure.
But we have, if we just set up a company in Japan but are not hiring any staff at the moment, can we rent a virtual office with a Japanese telephone number which diverts to our overseas office number?
Great.
Something you have experience with.
Great. Thank you, Tammy. This is a very good question. We went through the same process ourselves just over a year ago. In our situation, to be honest, it depends on, I think from what your counterparts expect. I don't think there's a huge problem depending on your industry. But in our specific case, there are some licensing requirements. So we are a registered travel agency in Japan. And in order to do that, in order to get the license, should I say, a virtual office is not good enough. So what that means is I recommend you to look at the industry you're trying to get in, look at what kind of license you need to get, look at the requirement, the office requirement of those licenses to see whether a virtual office is good enough or not. In my case, it was not. That's why we did not have a virtual office. But we did think about it, I have to say.
Great. So I think that might be all of the questions that have come through the chat. We do have a comment from Willie sort of backing up your statement about your vision. I think they've worded it really nicely. So they've got stubborn with vision, flexible in the execution. My humble opinion, I think that's a great point.
I think that is a great point, really. I totally agree with you. We are very stubborn with our vision. To give you an idea, we set our vision over a year ago. We recently looked at it again a month ago. And we look at it again to see, actually, you know what, when I look at it again, I realized that it's still 95% there. This is a good feeling, as well as this is for your future as well, for our future as well, should I say. That's what we have been doing, and what we're aiming to do still remains. So I love the word stubborn. In our case, we are very stubborn. However, we have debated about 5%. I guess that is what you mean by the execution portion. So people often talk about this word pivot. So this could be your little bit of pivot point, but at the same time, pivot means you still have that foundation of the core. That's important. If you found that yesterday you want to do this, today you want to do something totally different, well, this is not the same business, is it? So you need to discuss and revise again. So I totally agree.
Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. It's been a pleasure hearing from you today. And again, special thanks to TOSBEC for setting everything up. It's always a pleasure to be working with you, and we look forward to future sessions. So for everyone watching today, if you'd like to go back and watch, we'll be popping the recording on the event gallery on the ANZCCJ website. And you can also find us on YouTube there as well. But I'll hand over back to you, Hanaya-san, to finish this up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Emily-san, and thank you very much, Benjamin-san, for today's presentation. It was wonderful. So as for me, just for the one announcement, let me put up the slides. So as usual, we're collecting that feedback from you all. And so we want to improve our seminars and our services. So we would love to receive your feedback. So we would appreciate it if you could send us your feedback by accessing and submitting our survey via this QR code. We will also share the URL on the chat box, so please check it out. And respondents will receive a copy of today's seminar PowerPoint slides. So please, thank you for your cooperation. All right, so that's all for today. It's, I think, 1:00 p.m. now, so we're closing it now. Thank you again, everyone, for attending our seminar today. We're looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.